Some hockey here at the end of August, but it is that time of year. Although we could freeze all this rain that came down over the last couple of days, we'd really have something. Jim McGovern is with us, and I wanted to ask you, Congressman, about this race to the top funds, $250 million coming to Massachusetts. I guess controversial in some ways because people felt that we were at the top, that through MCAS, that we had kind of already fought this battle, and that we should be the bar that the rest of the nation was striving to achieve. Did we need to do race to the top?
Well, I think race to the top was an important thing for us to apply for, simply because we're not going to get $250 million that we're going to be able to invest in our educational system here in the Commonwealth. You know, not every school is up to where it needs to be, and this money will come in very handy to help train teachers, retrain teachers, provide additional infrastructure, whatever needs to be done to make sure that every one of our kids gets the very best education possible. And as I said before, I mean, look, education equals jobs. So when people say, oh, why are you investing in education? You need to invest in education if we're going to have a well-trained workforce to be able to accommodate the jobs of the future. So this is very, very good news, and I congratulate the governor and the lieutenant governor and the entire
stimulus as well. I mean, will some of this money go to keep teachers' jobs?
Some of it will go to keep teachers' jobs, but we just passed, as you know, an emergency bill. We had to go back into session for during the recess to provide additional money for teachers and for police officers and for firefighters, and to help provide for some of the cost of our state's health care system. So it is important to keep teachers in the classroom. It is important that we don't have bigger classrooms, and it's important that every kid in this Commonwealth get the very best education possible.
All of this is important. I mean, the money for public safety, the public for schools. Are we still putting it on the credit card, though? I mean, at some point, does the bill come due? And best of intentions, great programs, but we can't be taxed anymore, and how do we pay for it all?
Well, a couple of things. One is, I mean, part of the reason why the federal government responded for teachers and police and firefighters is so that local towns wouldn't have to, and cities wouldn't have to put the burden on the property owner and increase their property taxes. But look, we didn't get into this ditch overnight. I mean, Bill Clinton left George Bush a surplus. Tax cuts for wealthy people that weren't paid for, nobody said anything. 2 wars that are not paid for, nobody said anything. A Medicare prescription drug bill that wasn't paid for, nobody said anything. And then we entered into this recession, and here comes Barack Obama trying to figure out how we get out of this mess. And I think one of the things he knows and he understands is that you're not going to be able to address the deficit and the debt unless you get people back to work. You can't cut your way out of this thing. And we need to strengthen our economy. We need to invest in these new emerging industries, get people back to work, so people can hold on to their homes. And then you can, I think, effectively address the issue of the deficit and the debt. I believe we can do that. By the way, in the House, the Democrats just enacted this thing called pay-go. We don't add anything more in terms of education or money for police or firefighters unless it's offset. This bill that we passed, by the way, wasn't added onto our credit card. It was offset. I didn't like all the offsets in it, but nonetheless, it was paid for. And that's the way we're trying to proceed here.
The president, Democrats, completely blameless in this recession that we're in and this hole that we're in?
No, I'm not looking to to point fingers necessarily. I think it's important to put kind of history in perspective so people understand where we're coming from. I think you got to give Democrats a lot of credit for helping eliminate the deficit and starting to pay down the debt. That's what we did. And remember, when Clinton was president, they took away that debt sign in New York City because we were actually paying down our debt. Then we went through a period where even Dick Cheney said deficits don't matter. Well, they do matter. And we do know that we need to get this under control if other economic indicators are going to react the way we want them to. And we can do it. The president has put together a bipartisan commission to deal with how we get our deficit eliminated and pay down our debt. That's going to come out with a report. It's going to have some tough recommendations, and we're going to have to deal with it. And honestly, none of the choices are going to be easy. And we're all going to have to be part of this. I've argued for a long time that we ought to have a war tax. I don't agree with these wars. I've fought like hell against them. But you know what? The only people that are sacrificing are our soldiers and their families. The rest of us are asked to do nothing. Those wars are on our credit card. That's over $1 trillion that we've spent so far. Where's the outrage over that? I mean, we all, if we're going to send our young people to war, we all ought to have a stake in this thing. We did during World War II. we ought to during these wars. And if you don't want to do that, you shouldn't go to war.
It's interesting, as you're in an election year.
Right.
I read an article in the Globe just a couple of days ago about how perhaps Democrats in Massachusetts are leaning more to the right or starting to run a little bit more towards the middle. You have stated 3 or 4 positions that I would think would perhaps be going against the national wave, right. Perhaps not in central Massachusetts, right. But where you certainly are staking out these positions.
Hey, look, I am who I am. You know, I mean, I ran for office because I believe in this district. I believe in a set of convictions and principles, and it's who I am. You know, I'm not a weather vane, and I've never been. And I give people, I tell people, you know, the way I think, and I give it to them the way I see it, and that's that. I mean, some of the issues I've taken on have been controversial, but I don't see any sense of somebody being in Congress if they're not telling people what they believe. And, you know, so that's what I've been doing. And, you know, I'm proud of my record. You know, this year I have a smorgasbord of opposition out there, but, you know, elections are about choices, and the people of this district I respect. I'm out there working like a dog, you know, fighting for re-election because I believe in the job that I'm doing, and I believe I can be of help to the people of this district in the future. And so, you know, I'm doing everything I can, but I'm not a weather vane.
We have just 30 seconds left. Today is an anniversary, and it's a sad one, and I just wanted to, because you were in Great Brook Valley in the city of Worcester earlier today for an important event, but today marks the passing of Senator Kennedy 1 year ago today.
Well, a great tribute. They renamed the Great Brook Valley Health Center after Senator Kennedy. It's going to be now the Edward M. Kennedy Health Center. A champion of community health centers, a champion of health care, one of my heroes and inspiration. I miss him. I think we all in the state feel his loss, and especially at this moment where he had this ability not only to deliver for Massachusetts, but to be able to bring people together in the United States Senate. He represented collegiality and civility, and boy, I miss him. And he was a dear friend, and this was a very bittersweet event, but it's a great tribute, a fitting tribute to a great man. Congressman Jim McGovern, thank you for stopping by. My pleasure. Look forward to having you on many more times as the election in November heads our way. And thank you for joining us right here on the Hank Stolz Experience. We're going to talk some hockey with Mike Mudd straight ahead.